I'm Noche Diaz.
And I'm Jamel Mims.
And we're here to call on you to become part of a new generation standing up to this new Jim Crow.
We're in the midst of an emergency situation. More than 2.3 million people, mainly Black and Latino, remain warehoused in prisons across the country. Tens of thousands remain in solitary confinement, conditions tantamount to torture. Black and Latino youth are broadly criminalized throughout society. They're the targets of racial profiling programs like stop and frisk and gang injunctions, routinely arrested in school by school safety, and wantonly murdered and gunned down in the streets. Every 40 hours in this country, another Black or Latino youth has their life stolen by law enforcement. On any given night, there are tens of thousands of immigrants being detained in detention centers across the country, many of them in solitary confinement. Think about all the families and people that affects. Literally tens of millions have their lives enmeshed in the snarling jaws of the criminal injustice system. A slow genocide targeting Blacks and Latinos that could quickly become a very fast one.
Anywhere else in the world that these things were going on, we would barely be able to escape the headlines that we're all familiar with. Authoritarian police state government imprisons over 2 million people, torturing tens of thousands, and killing its own citizens, targeting ethnic minorities. A slow genocide is going on under our watch. But these aren't just things that are going on somewhere else in the world. These are all happening right here, in the so-called land of the free, and the beacon of freedom and democracy to the world.
Public figures leading up to and all the way to Obama are giving mass incarceration the silent treatment or worse, openly calling out for more of it and blaming the very victims of this terror, the youth themselves, for this outrage. Telling them things like they need to pull their pants up and fly right.
Having said that, brothers should pull up their pants.
Just pull up their pants.
You know?
Well, check it out. We're not going to tell you to pull up your pants, to fly right, but we are going to talk about taking responsibility. Just not in the way they talk about it, of trying to get yourself past the teeth of the meat grinder. We're here to tell you about taking responsibility for breaking the silence around this and halting and reversing this slow, grinding genocide. And we have a plan.
This summer, on July 8th, prisoners in California will engage on a hunger strike and will be sacrificing their lives to demand an end to the torturous conditions of solitary confinement. They've also issued an inspiring call for unity between people of different races, inside and outside of the prison. We must build support for this now. The trial of the vigilante murder of Trayvon Martin begins in June. It took massive outpourings across the country to force the authorities to put Zimmerman on trial in the first place. People need to be out on the streets around this outrage on June 10th. In the last year, we saw waves of protests. In the wake of the murder of Troy Davis, rebellions in response to the murders of Black and Latino youth all across the country. In 2011, we saw a wave of civil disobedience protests last year to oppose stop and frisk. All of this points to a need for further resistance and a serious movement of millions to halt and reverse the genocidal trajectory of mass incarceration.
And the first thing you need to do is make sure you're in the house on May 20th. Cornell West and Carl Dix, two brothers who've been on the cutting edge of this fight, are going to be speaking on mass incarceration plus silence equals genocide and acting to stop it. If you're in New York, be there. If you're not in New York, get there.
Proceeds go to the Stop Mass Incarceration Network and Revolution Books. To find out more about Revolution Books, go to www.revolutionbooksnyc.org. To find out more about the Stop Mass Incarceration Network and to get deeper into the plan to put an end to mass incarceration, go to www.stopmassincarceration.org.